Hello and welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be looking over some of the MOCs I have actually created in the past. There are 4 to be exact. I wanted to quickly talk over some of the things I liked and some of the things I disliked about these MOCs and what that means for me, my MOCs, and some of my goals going in the future. As a side note, I kind of wanted to make this video because I just haven't released a lot of content in a while, and I thought this was a cool thing for you guys to take a look at. So this is actually one of the MOCs I brought to my most recent convention. That was Brickfest NJ, and this is what I call the Cape Cod Home. This was on my LEGO Ideas page for a while. It got to around 100-120 supporters, but didn't go too far. And to be honest, I see why. The side walls are really bland. They don't have any windows. There is this door in the back, which I really like. I think that that window piece goes over quite nicely. It's a little bucket and stuff. We have a rabbit frolicking about, and it's nice, but I think it's just way too repetitive. That's just not too interesting. The front is probably its best side. There are a ton of windows. There's a nice door. There's my sig fig and a little dog, some flowers. And let me actually pause this for a second, and then I can give you, let me just turn this to the front, and I'll give you a little bit more of a story on how this came to be. So this build was actually a challenge I kind of gave myself. It was based on a single reference image, which I will put up on the screen now. And using just that, I put this together on stud.io. So this was created 100% digitally, and I think I took about 4 hours. If you actually go to my Reddit, you can see that I posted this, and it was quite different back then. There was no overhang. It stopped here, and it was quite a lot. It was quite a lot taller because the roof, I used the 45-degree slope instead of, I think, the 33-degree, or I don't know if it's 33 or 30-degree slope, which I've changed it to. So I actually got some really good feedback there, and I changed up some things. I actually ended up putting this build together in person in December of 2021, and I've waited to show it till now because first of all, I wanted to put together a good video, which I'm trying to do right now, but I didn't really know what to talk about. So today I want to share a couple of the things that I enjoyed while making this. I was definitely quite proud with the time it took me to make this. I mean, I guess part of that you can also see, like when you turn it to the side over here, you see that there's a lot of copy paste going on there when I built it online. There's actually no interior right now, but I'm pretty happy because this roof actually comes off pretty easily. It's almost like a modular building, so I thought that was pretty neat. The roof is solid. There are a lot of bricks that go into that, and maybe too many, honestly. I think I could have made it a little bit lighter. I do like a lot of the elements. I definitely enjoy building houses, and I am quite fond of this kind of architecture style, the Cape Cod Home especially. So I'm happy that this gave me a little bit of a glimpse into how building houses and all that goes, especially in LEGO. So that was good. If I could redo this build in the future, I think I would spend more time on making an interior and making it someplace that would be more enjoyable to live in. The front looks great, but I think more windows and just more characteristics. Like this is a building that, although it looks quite nice on the outside, it doesn't have a lot of life to it. So that's maybe something I would think about adding some more of that. That's pretty much all for this build. Why don't we jump on to our next for today? So this next build I actually put together over, I think I also built this in December of 2021, coincidentally. This was a 1 or 2 day project. I think I got most of the work done on the first day, and then I added some small things in a little bit later. And it was just kind of like an attempt at me making a vignette. So for those of you that don't really know exactly what a vignette is, it's when you take a little scene or like a slice of life. So what I did here is I wanted to make a desert scene. Actually, I looked back, I had this very basic concept art where I just sketched out like a rocky land, and then I had the horse, which was standing up just like that, and then a rider on the back. So it was almost like a cowboy sort of scene. When I started to put it together, I added some more things. One thing I was really happy with actually is how this rock work down here turned out. I know it's not the most complicated or crazy thing, but I think its simplicity is what made it great. I used 3 colors. There's the tan, dark tan, and then very scarcely used is the olive green down there. There's just a mix of plates and slopes and tiles. I think if one thing I could do, maybe it would be simplify it. I know some people think that just adding a ton of greebling is great at all times. That is true sometimes. I think in this case, less is more, and if I reduce it, it might be a little bit more pleasing to the eye. I was also pretty happy with the cacti. I didn't have the curved pieces, so I ended up using just the normal slopes, and I just covered them with plates because I had a ton of the 1x3 plates from the pick-a-brick wall. So I thought those turned out pretty good, and I did like the minifigures as well. So let me zoom in on those guys. You can take a better look at what's going on over there. They are playing the, well, one is playing the guitar, the other one I guess is drinking away all his sorrows. And he has a little hat over there as well. Some spiders and bugs, and if you actually noticed up here, there's actually an eagle flying overhead. Not the most clever technique, it's just one of those clear bar pieces connected, but I was pretty happy with how this turned out. Generally, I think when you make smaller vignettes, it's easier to have a lot of life and story to them. One of the most important things to me when I'm making a vignette is having like a clear and cohesive story. This one, I think it's pretty clear. There's like a campfire going on. It's obviously supposed to be at night. That's why those creepy crawlies are coming out. There's a guitar. You can see that the horse is being spooked by that scorpion over there. And there's an eagle flying overhead. There's like a coherent story. So there's interesting stuff that's going on, and I like it. I'm happy with how this turned out. If there's anything I can take from this for future vignettes, is that simplicity is important, a clear story is important, and you should have a subject to every story. So obviously there's some environment, and then who are the characters and how are they interacting with their environment. So this is the third build of the video, and this is what I call the jungle or rainforest vignette. Now this is definitely on the larger side, and this was what I built pretty much right after the desert one that I just showed you previously. Now the original idea for this build was actually a little like lake or I guess pond, as you see here in the center, and a waterfall that cascaded into it. Now, given my time and resources, I did not end up making that waterfall, which looking back, I think was the right decision because this was already a very time-consuming build, but I'm definitely glad with how this turned out. I think there is a lot of life, a couple of clear subjects, and just a lot of very, very cool things going on. So you can see down here, actually, we have a explorer, oops, sorry about that, and his dog, and they are traveling through the forest there. You have a lot of animals, a monkey over here, looks like he's actually fallen down. You have a baby elephant, we have some crocs in the water fighting over some fish. You actually have a fish in the back over there that's diving into the water. That's one of my favorite details. Lots of mushrooms, some overgrowth, and some stuff in the trees. Let me actually lower this camera. I can bring it down to eye level view for you guys to see. So there it is. You can take a closer look because this build is really full of details. This was actually another that I brought to the convention, and this was definitely a big crowd pleaser. So I see that I did something right. This was definitely a big hit. I really actually like how these trees came together. I think they're definitely a little simple, but there is a lot good in them. So I think some of the larger, or I believe all of them really, they use similar technique. I used just some of the snot bricks, and I attached some plates and tiles and curves on the side. And then the trees are just done with the 6x5 and 2x3 leaves, and then just a ton of the new leaf pieces attached to them. So that was a big hit for sure. Let me actually pick up this camera for a second just to show you how the water looks from above, because I think some of that will be missed otherwise. So here's what the water looks like. Hopefully you can see somewhat. I actually did an interesting technique with the plates there. So there are darker plates in the middle and lighter plates on the outside. So that gives the illusion that there is varying depth of water. That was something I was quite glad with. So overall, I think this was a pretty big hit. if I could make some changes, one of the ones would definitely be the base. I was quite unhappy with the base, to be honest. I felt like there was just way too much stuff going on. Too many colors. It just looks a little childish. So that's one of the things I would do. Another thing that actually ended up happening, I guess it was a little surprising because I have so many parts, but I actually ran out of parts when I was putting together the middle bit there. So I didn't have enough green pieces, so I had to pull out some of the dark green plates. So that to me feels like, I mean, I guess it's not ideal, that's what happens, but the whole time when I was adding in all these foliage pieces, it just felt like a last minute thing, you know? So there was something about that ground that just doesn't feel that natural or organic to me. I think that's also because to me the trees feel really good. Like I'm very, very happy with the trees. I think they are solid. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff going on. This is actually one thing over here that I was quite happy with, how I did that tree stump. I think I might have seen that in the set, but it's pretty neat and it works quite nicely. So the trees, you guys can tell. I'm a big fan of those. So yeah, that's I guess what makes the base stand out so much more. But yeah, it's a really good step. I think I learned a lot from this. One last reason I wanted to show you guys all this on camera is because after I take this video, I'm probably going to tear this one apart. I'm probably going to keep the trees, maybe, because they're pretty cool, but the base and everything that I could take apart. The water was cool, for sure, it was cool. You'll see a little bit more of those water techniques actually in my next build. So this is the fourth and final build for this video. I actually just put this together this past week, and I think I did it all in about a span of 4 hours. So the plan for this one actually came a couple months ago. I wrote it down on my list of builds and stuff that I've been working on. And I had kind of a vague idea. I wanted to do something in Antarctica, and the whole build actually started when I found these penguin pieces at the Build a Minifigure wall a couple months back. You probably saw that video. Yeah, it's on my channel. So that led me to decide to make something like this. Now, when I had planned it, I wanted to add a photographer. Now, when I was looking through my parts collection, I realized I didn't really have any good torsos. I didn't want to make a half-baked minifigure, so I decided against it in the end, and I just decided to do kind of like a more slice-of-life approach. So this is just showing some penguins and a gull in the side, just in Antarctica. There's not too much going on, so I felt like for that reason, there's kind of like a lack of subject in this, but all that aside, I think this made for a really good like exercise almost. Like it was good practice for me as a builder. So I tried something new here where the pieces aren't actually like studded in. So these little ice flows have been created with a lot of really interesting snot techniques. I found some very cool ways to attach the pieces. It was actually a very, very fun process because sometimes you struggle, you're like, oh, how do I fit these pieces together? And you have that eureka moment where everything just works out, and it's really fun actually. So I put those together and I put the base together, and I was like, okay, how do we get this in here? So what I did is I kind of just put these trans blue brick pieces right in between, and then I put these little cheese wedges in between. So everything's pretty secure. Like if I try and wiggle everything around, it's pretty solid. But if you were to flip this upside down, that would be a different story. So I guess you can count that as like a con, that it's not the most sturdy. But one thing I have noticed is that as you start to work with more advanced building techniques as like a fan designer and not like an official Lego designer, these kinds of illegal building techniques, or I guess there's not, I think, anything too illegal. Like the pieces aren't studded in. I'm sure that's been done in Lego sets before, but that does create a little bit more of a flimsy connection, right? That's not something that's going to stand the test of time, right? If you take this to a convention and you flip it over, like that's not going to be the greatest situation. But regardless, I think it turned out pretty good. It has a very unique look to it, and I'm pretty happy with it turned out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a long one, so if you stuck all the way to the end, very much thank you to you. And expect more videos soon. Actually, for this build in specific, I put it on my new blog, so hopefully by the time this video is released, that is up and running. If not, you can wait. You can also search that up. It's Blacker Bricks that's the name of my channel, builds. So blackerbricksbuilds@blogspot.com. So I know that's a mouthful, but you'll see that linked below, and hopefully somewhere on my channel as well. All right, thanks guys.